like to share with you. In 1963, at the height of the civil rights movement, AAUW expanded its fellowship and grant program to create a fund in honor of Coretta Scott King, raising $150,000 for African American women to study African American culture, civil rights, and peace. This is in 1963. Mrs. King wrote to AAUW members, "I'm deeply grateful to the American Association of University Women for establishing the scholarship fund. There is entirely too little research, writing, and understanding of nonviolence, peace, and Afro-American history." More recently, with a grant from the Coca-Cola Foundation, AAUW launched a partnership with historically Black colleges and universities to empower the next generation with the skills to close the gender pay gap and leadership gap for women of color. So when we celebrate Black history, we also celebrate American history. So with that, I'll turn it over to Pat, who will introduce our guest. Unmute, Pat, unmute.
Randa, have we got Diana up on screen so people can see her? And which screen should we use, gallery view or speaker?
Do speaker view if you want to center her.
Okay, I want to see her hat. I want everyone to see Diana's hat. Okay. Oh, that's gallery. Okay. Well, Diana, some of you may know Diana. She had been a member of our branch some time ago, and she lives next door to Vicki Spilkin. But she is a native Californian and was born in Indio, moved to San Diego to go to San Diego State, where she received her bachelor's degree in sociology. She also has a master's degree in counseling psychology from John Kennedy University in Orinda. And I'm not sure how she got from San Diego to Orinda, but that's her story. In any case, the majority of her corporate career was in San Francisco and Englewood, Colorado. Ooh, I bet she's not missing the snow now. One of her most enjoyable assignments was at AT&T, where she served as the regional HR manager for 11 states. Whoa. At Lucent Technology, she also worked as a management skills training developer and instructor, and her team was one of the first to design and implement international distance learning. After retiring from Lucent, she moved back to San Diego, where she opened a store that sold home goods and gardening and a gift shop. And Randa remembered going to the store. It was located in Hillcrest. And she's currently now spending her time on creative ventures, enjoys designing purses and individual things. And when I haven't met Diana in person. It's so interesting, as we all know, when you've been emailing someone for ages to suddenly have the pleasure of meeting them in person and seeing their faces and hearing them actually speak. But Diana today is in costume, and I know she shared with me that she was busily working on a tailoring project for a class. So Diana, my guess is you probably made your own costume. Is that correct? The clothing.
That is correct.
And the hat too?
Yes, I sort of revised the hat.
Oh, wow. Oh, fabulous. Well, anyway, I present to you Diana Thomas, who will be giving us a slightly different view. Many of you may have remembered that she portrayed Madam C.J. Walker with the Women in History Project, but she's doing a slightly different version of it today. So Diana.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Villa Liero. I'm glad you had an opportunity to tour my summer home and the grounds before our tea this morning. I've been looking forward to telling you a little bit about myself, about this place, and about the Walker business. Perhaps you'll be inspired to become one of our agents. Villa Liero is named in honor of my daughter, Lilia Walker Robinson. I wanted an elegant and extravagant place that she and any princess would envy. So I commissioned Bertner Tandy, the first African-American architect registered in New York, to build this place. Bertner was also one of the 7 founders of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity at Cornell. He designed our Harlem home as well, and Harlem has been our base for the past few years. Villa Liero has become a gathering place for the Harlem Renaissance, a hub for activism and discussions about the status of the Negro soldier. I think it speaks to the progress and the potential of our first generation following the emancipation. I built it to convince members of my race of the wealth and possibilities within the race, and to point out what a lone woman could accomplish. I want you to do big things. I'm proud to be recognized in this New York Times article. It speaks of Villa Liero, wealthiest Negro woman suburban mansion, 20,000 square feet, 34 rooms, hand-painted ceilings, gym, servant quarters, marble stairway, library, and enough room for my 4 cars. I had a dream that begot other dreams, and Villa Liero is one of those dreams. Who would have thought I would become America's first self-made millionaire? Well, I must say, I was not always on the top. Now known as Madam C.J. Walker, my birth name is Sarah Breedlove, and I was born in 1867 in Delta, Louisiana. So I'm a working woman who comes from the cotton fields in the South. My parents were slaves in this country before the Civil War, and once emancipated, they worked on the same cotton plantation. I was the 6th child and the first one to be born free. By the time I was 6 years old, both my parents had died from yellow fever, and I was sent to live with my sister and brother-in-law in Vicksburg, Mississippi. I was a poor working child. I was either picking cotton or doing kitchen work. I married by the age of 14, Moses McWilliams, and I married to get away from the abuse inflicted on me by my brother-in-law. I never understood why he was so cruel. Perhaps it was just having another child in the house. Well, I had my first and only child, Lilia, when I was 17 years old, and 2 years later, Moses died. Although I never know for sure, something in my spirit tells me that Moses was lynched by a group of people acting outside of the law. After his death, Lilia and I moved to St. Louis, where 2 of my brothers are successful barbers. I became a washerwoman, washing clothes all day for $1.50 a day. We barely got by, but I was able to send Lilia to public school, and from time to time, I was able to take a class or 2 myself at night. I'm not ashamed of my humble beginnings. I don't think because you have to go down in the wash tub that makes you any less of a lady. Well, we lived in St. Louis for 18 years, and there I met and married Charles J. Walker. Charles was a self-promoter, a marketeer, an advertising specialist. But most important to me, he had one skill I did not have, and that was literacy. People often ask me how I got into the hair care business. Well, for years I had trouble with my hair, and in 1890 I was almost bald. I developed a scalp disorder that was due to stress, improper maintenance, and improper hair care products. So I began purchasing products and then eventually experimenting with home remedies, which I sold to friends and family and door to door to So I guess you can say I feel the need for myself, and I feel the need for so many women who struggle with hair loss. In 1905, I was hired by Annie Turnbull Malone. She was a successful Negro hair care entrepreneur, and I moved to Denver, Colorado to join her team. Charles joined me there in 1906. And then one night I had a very vivid dream. And in that dream, this man came to me and he told me what to mix up for my hair. And I decided I was going to mix it up and I was going to sell it. I called it Wonderful Hair Grower. It included sulfur as a medical agent to heal infections. Well, product development improved after consulting with various dermatologists and pharmacists. Charles assisted me in creating advertisements and developing a mail marketing strategy. We advertised mostly through Negro magazines, and Charles placed my first Walker advertisement in the Denver Statesman. He suggested I use a more distinguished name, something like the French did, and I thereby became Madame C.J. Walker. I launched a complete hair care line, skincare line, and products for the teeth. When our small business began to grow, my dream was to continue to expand, but Charles thought otherwise. We eventually separated, and I began touring the South and the Southwest, promoting products and giving lectures and demonstrations on the Walker method. It was simply massaging the hair, brushing the hair, using heated combs, and applying my pomade. My rounds included Negro organizations, churches, and civic groups. I now serve customers in the United States, Central America, and the Caribbean. I always say I got my start by giving myself a start. I had to make my own living. I had to come up with my own opportunity, and I made it. As profits grew, I opened a factory in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Leah and I worked together to put together a school, which we called the Leah College for hair culturists. By 1910, I transferred the business to Indianapolis, Indiana. There was a thriving business community, and it was a great transportation hub for our training center, our mail order business, and our manufacturing center. It was there that we opened the Center for Walker Agents. As business continued to grow, I hired Negro professionals to take care of various aspects of the business. I was blessed to have employees among them who were able to tutor me in a basic education. We currently have 3,000 people, largely Negro women, who sell our products from door to door. They teach the Walker method, including washing and general hair care. My sales force is structured into state and local teams. I was never satisfied making money just for myself. I endeavor to provide employment for hundreds of women of my race. I am an advocate for women's independence, and I provide lucrative incomes for Negro women who otherwise would be consigned jobs as farm laborers, washerwomen, and maids. I promote a message of pride, respect, and empowerment during training, and I provide a base salary of $25 a week compared to the $2 rate women receive in general employment. I promote cleanliness and loveliness. My agents attend clubs and conventions and are rewarded for successful sales, philanthropy, and educational efforts. I set the example for my agents, providing full scholarships for 6 students a year to attend Tuskegee Institute in Hampton, Virginia, and financing Negroes throughout various northern and southern colleges. I continue to finance Negro home loans, donate to Homes for the Elderly, to orphanages, and the National Conference on Lynching. I gave the largest Negro contribution to the completion of the Indianapolis YMCA for Negro men in 1913. Although business is good, it's been a troubling time for our nation. I was part of the 1917 delegation that went to Washington, D.C. to petition President Woodrow Wilson to make lynching a federal crime. It's unfortunate, but he refused to see it. To date, over 2,000 Negro men have been hung. And I will fight tirelessly for an anti-lynching law in hopes that one passes during my lifetime. I feel that I have successfully navigated the challenge of being Negro and a woman in the 20th century, not only creating a hair care empire, but also being a strong advocate for civil rights, for the arts, and for women's financial independence. I will continue to promote my business and my agents, even on days when I don't feel well, and even against my doctor's advice. But I don't think you can wait for opportunities. I think you have to make them. You have to get up and just make them. I look forward to what the future holds for all of us. So ladies, if you came in an effort to make your future brighter, I invite you to join me and become a Walker agent. I thank you for attending this morning. I wish you a blessed and wonderful day. And now I'll take off my Madam CJ hat and tell you a little more about her legacy. She died of hypertension May 25th, 1919 at the age of 51. She's eulogized by celebrated educator Mary McLeod Bethune. She holds the Guinness World Record for the first self-made millionaire. In 1927, the Walker Building and Arts Center in Indiana became a historic landmark. In 1993, she was inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame. In 1998, the US Post Office released a stamp of her as part of their Black Heritage Series. Her legacy is carried on through MCJW, a line of hair care products manufactured by Sundial Brands and sold exclusively at Sephora.com. And I'm sure she's shouting in heaven because the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act passed in 2020, 120 years after anti-lynching legislation attempt. Thank you. That's it, ladies.
Wow, that was amazing. That was
Thank you.
amazing. What a history. I had no idea. You know, I saw something on,
Joan, I think Pat plans.
No, I wanted people to have a chance to ask Diana questions about at this point. So we'll do it.
Don't forget to unmute yourself.
Okay, Jane?
Yes, I wanted to ask Diana, did you watch the miniseries Self-Made with Octavia Spencer? It seems to me they didn't really follow her life that closely. They didn't mention Denver, but they did Indianapolis.
I purposely did not watch it because I didn't want it to influence my presentation. Yeah, but I plan to go back and do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be very interesting. Is there anyone else with a question or concern? I'm glad you addressed what's happened to her products now and the fact that is the same formula still being used? Are people, and is her history given every time you buy a bottle of something? Which is it, Dr.? It's a organic product that is made in Escondido and Sprouts sells it, but the history of his discovery is always on the bottles. Is that still being done with the current manufacturer of the cosmetics that she developed?
I don't know what's included in her product line. The research that I did basically talked about the things that she had done in those days. I know that she had like a vegetable hair shampoo. She did toothpaste, all kinds of things. But no, I'm not familiar with how the product has continued on.
So you don't use them yourself?
No, that's why I have this hat on.
Oh. Any other questions or thoughts? about Diana's presentation. Wow.
Ginger Lloyd has her hand up.
Yes, I do. I just wondered about her family. You said she had a daughter? Is that correct?
Yes,
So what did she accomplish after? Did she go on and pursue what her mother was doing?
she had one daughter, and I don't know how she further developed the business. There's not a lot of research on that.
Oh, okay. All right.
Ginger Lloyd has her hand up.
Okay, hi Diana. Could we see your whole outfit?
Yeah.
You went around to the schools and it is gorgeous.
I don't know if you can see it all.
And I remember,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that pretty?
Isn't that pretty?
not see the bottom of it. The presentation was slightly different from when you did the industry classes. A few other details, very interesting.
Oh,
That's very pretty.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
that is lovely. Did you get the idea of the pattern and the style from pictures of clothing that women were wearing at the time?
I did. I think this would be one that she would have worn earlier in her life.
Uh-huh.
But I had several pictures. I don't know if you can see them of kind of what she wore.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How nice. What do
I
you,
had intended to have a new outfit for this event, but it took me more time than I thought to just get prepared for it.
no,
Next go round.
great. What do you think she would think of events in today's world with all her efforts to improve life for Negroes at the time?
I think she would be encouraged to just keep trying. My sense of her is that she was born struggling and she made it through so many obstacles that whatever the challenge was, she just keep going and keep pushing.
Right. I would apply that today.
One
Yeah.
quote that I took from your presentation, Diana, I got my start by giving myself a start. I love that. I love that.
Are there books about her? Do you have a bibliography if people want to read more or?
There are plenty books. In fact, when I first started doing the research for Women in History, I got most of my books down at the Rancho San Diego Library.
Uh-huh.
So there's plenty there. When I was preparing for this, I did more research online.
Oh, good. Good to know, because it sounds like it would make a marvelous book.
There are several, and there are some that are tailored to children,
Oh,
which is great if you're doing the Women in History piece. I think that was one of my biggest joys. I had done a presentation, and this little boy comes up to me afterwards. I guess he might have been 7 or 8. He goes, "Madam Walker, you just can't be dead. You just can't be dead."
that is wonderful. Just wonderful. Wow. Are there any more questions or comments for Diana except to say thank you very much? And I'm so glad we've recorded it. I'm sorry to think of the members and guests that have missed it. Diana, do you want to take a moment to introduce your guests? I know your sister is here.
Let's see. I don't know that I have my total guest list off my head. Jeannie Witham. I don't know if she's here. Dorothy Quiet.
Yes. Can I?
Mary Castleberry. Beverly Chandler.
Yeah.
I think Clarence Oliver. Gail Kyle. all I can remember offhand.
Okay,
Can I ask Diane a question?
of course.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to ask you, well, one thing I wanted to comment, or the thing I liked, took away from it is don't wait for opportunities, create them yourself. And also, you were just so great, and I really hope that you'll connect with the Central Library, and maybe every year, maybe during Black History Month, you could go around to all the libraries. I actually, Read San Diego, you know, head of Read San Diego, I'm sure he would, or any of them could connect with you and would be happy to have you give presentations throughout the county.
Oh, definitely.
Dorothy always has a job for me.
Well,
I have a question. Hi, it's Catherine. Diana, what kind of, did you go in and present this to middle school? And I wondered what the reaction of the middle school and high schoolers were.
Actually, I did just the elementary school during your Women in History month.
Okay,
And the kids are fascinating. When I talked about doing picking cotton, Lois French, which most of you know, had a cotton tree in her backyard. So she gave me some cotton to use as part of my presentation, and the kids were just fascinated. And then I remember at the end of one session, it was almost Halloween, and this little white girl comes up to me and she says, "I am going to be Madam Walker for Halloween." So
oh,
I think they enjoyed it.
thank you.
I just got here. I'm so sorry. Last night we had a power outage. Our lights went out at 10:05 and didn't come back on overnight until maybe middle of the night. And my clock was off, my alarm didn't go off. Just a horrible thing. So I'm so sorry. I'm here now.
I have a question, a comment, I guess. Can you hear me?
Yes, Patty?
Okay, I just wanted to say to Diana, you know, it's funny how certain things remain in your mind as highlights. And I just remember going to your store so long ago, and if anybody remembers what year that was, and being so impressed and just loving everything about your store and enjoyed that so much. And I'm trying to remember, anybody say what year that possibly was that AUW went down to your store, our branch?
You know, I don't really remember what year. I remember, well, I had the shop in 3 different locations: Rancho San Diego, then Hillcrest, and then finally in Kensington.
Okay.
And some of the ladies in the chapter were making handbags, and they were
Yes.
selling them.
Yes.
So they came to the store. They were beautiful. And I took some to sell, and I tried to convince them to make others, but to no avail. So I have been making handbags, and you guys have been my inspiration for that. Yeah.
That was so enjoyable.
Thank you.
wow.
I think the thing that comes to my mind is how I've gone all this time, going to school, the high school, college, I was a history minor. I never knew of Madam C.J. Walker. I never heard of her. And we have so many stories like this. That's why it's so valuable that we have you. I did see a thing on KUSI about Madam C.J. Walker last week. And I was encouraged to hear you say that she has since gotten recognition, her name on a stamp, recognized by her government and so on and so forth. But that you did not appear in any history book that I read. And we have many stories like that. So appreciate so much, Diana, that you brought her to us. And thank you, Pat. And I know Vicki Spilkin, you
Oh,
helped
yeah.
get us, bring us Diana. And so we're very grateful for that. I don't know who's got if everyone could just mute, there is just awful feedback. Just awful feedback. If everyone could just mute. Okay. I did want these, besides thanking Pat and Vicki and Diana, I wanted to make an announcement. I want to thank Randa Blanding. Randa, we could not make these events happen without you, and none of us take it for granted. Please know that. I believe we're going to now have the Martin Luther King Choir video. I'll let you take it. Pat, you want to say something about that?
Well, this is a real test of Randa's Zoom skills because she had not connected. Clearly, we couldn't have the choir live, much as we would love to have. But Randa, this was something she hadn't tried before. And of course, being Randa, she was successfully able to do it. But unfortunately, the initial link that we had many more videos, but for some reason or other, they were lost. But we're getting a video of a wonderful performance of the hymn called Sojourner Truth. And actually, Ken Anderson, who directs the choir, he's being interviewed on KUSI. They gave the choir an award. And many of you probably know that the choir does raise funds for scholarships also. But he gives the history of the choir and the purpose of the choir. So I'll let him take over and you get to hear his musicality as well. Randa?
Your Community Choir of San Diego. Ken Reynolds is the director. Welcome. Good morning. Nice to have you here.
Good morning. My name is actually Ken Anderson.
Ken Anderson? Well, it says Reynolds here. Ken Reynolds was the NFL player. That's right.
That's right.
Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Welcome. Tell me a little bit about your choir.
Well, we are volunteer choir. There's close to 100 in the choir, mostly from San Diego, some from Temecula. The monies that we raise provide scholarships exclusively in the visual and performing arts for graduating high school students. And we've sung several countries around the world and throughout, of course, in America. And it's a privilege to sing the music. It's rooted in the Negro spiritual, which is a code song in the fields. Leaders in the Bible, especially Moses, code name for Harriet Tubman and other abolitionists, and the Jordan River, code name for the Mississippi and the Ohio rivers, and Heaven and the Promised Land, code name for freedom. And so they were
fantastic.
Using the songs to communicate how we're going to get away. And then throughout the Civil Rights Movement, the music became more kind of a strengthener, with their arms crossed and their hands making human chains going down the streets of America, holding her accountable to such lofty ideals as all men are created equal and justice and liberty for all, singing We Shall Overcome, and ain't gonna let nobody turn me around.
Well, that's a great story, and I congratulate all of you for participating in the choir. What are you going to sing for us this morning?
We're going to sing Sojourner Truth's Battle Hymn of the Republic.
All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, the Martin Luther King Jr. Community Choir of San Diego.
Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. Ain't gonna let persecution turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Persecution, turn me around, keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. Ain't gonna let segregation turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let segregation turn me around, keep on walking, keep
keep on talking, marching up to freedom land.
Ain't gonna let Mississippi
Turn me around,
turn me around,
turn me around,
turn me
turn me
around.
around,
Ain't gonna let Mississippi
turn me around. Keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up and walking. Keep on talking, keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land.
Ain't gonna let nobody
Turn me around,
turn me
turn me
around,
around,
turn me
turn me
around.
around,
Nobody
turn me around. Keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land.
Ain't gonna let persecution
Turn me around,
turn me
turn me
around,
around,
turn me
turn me
around.
around,
Ain't gonna let persecution
turn me around. Keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land.
Ain't gonna let segregation
Turn me around,
turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let segregation
turn me around. Keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land.
Ain't gonna let Mississippi
Turn me around,
turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let Mississippi
turn me around. Keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land.
Ain't gonna let nobody
Turn me around,
turn me
turn me
around,
around,
turn me
turn me
around.
around,
Gonna let nobody
turn me around. Keep on walking, keep on talking, keep on walking, keep on talking, keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land.
Andy. Thank
Well,
you. That was wow. Yeah.
yeah. Well, the nice thing about Zoom is you can sing along and nobody sees you and nobody hears you if you're on mute. But speaking of singing along, I'm just curious to know if any of you have ever sung with that choir or heard them in performance. Vicki, I certainly know you have at your synagogue, but has anybody else heard them or been?
Yeah, I heard them. I went to a concert about 6 years ago and saw them
Uh-huh.
at a church in North Park.
Yeah, well, I discovered them ages ago because Ken was on the faculty at UCSD and he had this class on the gospel choir. And it was one of those quick 2-unit classes that I think a lot of students took because it was an easy class to take and fun, and the word got around. And I suspect that those who didn't sing before discovered they really enjoyed music and really enjoyed singing, and who wouldn't with those wonderful, wonderful songs. Anybody else have any comments or questions?
I want to say that I used to go to Christ the King Church, 32nd and Imperial, and they have an 8:30 service. Mostly it's Hispanic people, but it was founded by Black people. The barbers and the maids bought the land where that church is and got the thing going. And it started out as a Black church. And 8:30 service on Sunday, they have a gospel choir that's over the top wonderful.
That church was a hotbed of activism in the late 60s. I worked for the welfare department at the time in Southeast San Diego. And if there was something going to go on someplace, it was at Christ the King Church. It was a wonderful church. Still is, I'm sure. It's, although you pass it on the trolley if you take the Orange Line from East County down to downtown. Well, I regret that we couldn't find or couldn't get more videos to add to it, because the rest of them are wonderful. And I know, Vicki, their performance at your synagogue was one of the videos, but if Randa couldn't find it, then it was beyond anybody else's. So our meeting is shorter than they usually are, but I don't know why we couldn't just enjoy chatting or sharing experiences or whatever else, since we don't have any real coffee, just our teacups.
Well, I would like to say, I don't know if Mary Castleberry's still here or Carol Patrick, Diana, but one of our goals for our branch this year in the near future is to do have a joint meeting with the sorority that Kamala Harris belongs to, Alpha Kappa Alpha.
Right.
And so I know that the sorority was in the middle of a change of leadership. So we have not let go of that idea. We would very much like to have a joint meeting and see how we can work together. We have huge challenges in our country, as is evidenced every day by the news, what's happening and the challenges. Civil war is going on in our country now, for the heart of our country. And anything that we can do individually or collectively, we need to make that kind of commitment. So Carol Patrick, I hope you're listening. Diana, if you have any influence, Dorothy, we'd very much like to not let that slip away. I want to just remind everybody that we do have our big scholarship benefit / authors event on May 1st. Sherry Butler and